What up, y'all?
Hey, hey, hey.
Back with the Joneses.
Yep.
What's good?
A busy weekend.
How was your weekend?
Well, it was with you.
Hey,
And it was amazing, per usual.
good place to be.
It is.
Good place to be. So if y'all didn't catch her speaking Saturday at Win Her, an event that Kimberly Adams put on, which was really, really dope. Having different perspectives and thoughts from different female leaders in the community, from pastors to evangelists to Mia, which is a complete heathen. But it was really good. So y'all scroll through the timeline and y'all can find that on there and really listen to some of the things that were said. I think you will find it to be very enlightening and maybe have some direction on how to focus and align what you are doing. Try to adjust this here in your relationship. So anyway, we've been thinking this week, some things and just listening to conversations we've had. Said, okay, what are some things that I think we all as couples need to talk about? Yeah. And maybe enhance some of the, or highlight some of the things that we may not talk about.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I know you brought up a point about what kind of happens when things aren't going well in a relationship.
Yeah.
I think you've gone through it. I've gone through it, to really put names to some of the things that we may not be aware of while they're happening.
Yeah.
And I'll let you take it from there with one of the things that you spoke about. And you started out, and I won't jump around because she has a platform and how she wants to bring it out. So let's start from the beginning, how you have it laid out already.
Yeah, well, and before I get into that, I absolutely want to say thank you to all of our viewers. Hey, Gerald, who have been watching, sharing, calling, contacting me and Corey, who has book sessions, who have bought books. Thank you. Thank you. And we started this because I've never known love like this before.
Likewise.
And it seems so simple. It just seems like a really easy relationship to have. But it's not that we haven't gone through things. No. We've had really, really tough conversations. We've really had to do a lot of things or talk about things that could shake a lot of folks.
And will.
Yeah. But for us, hey, Irma Jean, for us, we've been able to have those conversations and be expressive enough to engage other people. And so many people would comment and say, man, y'all look like y'all got it. How do y'all do it? And so that's why we started the book. That's why we started working together to coach and help couples. We both are accredited and certified relationship coaches, intimacy coaches, but we also have life experience, and we bring this to you guys so that you can get two different perspectives. Right. Me and Corey don't agree on every single thing in the world, but we are able to have those relationships whether we agree or not.
Right.
And so if you haven't already, please go to lovejonescoaching.com, order your book. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it on our website. You can also tune in every Sunday at 7:30. We'll be right here. I don't even feel good today.
My baby done threw up in my truck, y'all.
It was a bad situation yesterday.
But she came back and said, "You the best husband in the world."
I
did.
He didn't complain. He just cleaned it up. So shout out to Black Marriages Matter. I'm so sorry we missed y'all last night. We were on the way, and I just got nauseous all of a sudden. So, but please check those things out and engage so that you can get the support that you need. It's really, really important. And I would encourage anybody to do it. For those who are watching on TikTok, you can buy the book on the TikTok shop on this page. Just go to shop, and that's the only product that's there. You can buy that book. Okay, so
all right, let's
get into it. I hear the term quiet quitting a lot. And a lot of other folks may have heard the term. And usually when they're talking about quiet quitting, they mean in jobs, actual jobs, There's a generation and just people in general that always feel like, what they're getting is not enough. And so they keep doing the same thing, but they really kind of checked out.
Yeah.
And that's what quiet quitting is. And it got me to thinking, is that what I did in my marriage, my past marriage? You know, is that what you've done in past relationships? And what could have happened to maybe make me align much earlier than I did? And to recognize when there are shifts in relationships where you need to readjust.
Right. I think that's a perfect tagline for that action, quiet quitting. I think a lot of people get tired of trying to communicate with their partner because a lot of times, and what we hear quite often when we're coaching is, I don't feel like they're hearing me.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we had a situation not long ago where it was a very specific conversation about what this young lady didn't like.
Yeah.
And to some, they may like it, but she
Right.
said, I don't like flowers. Right? And with that, I think we force what we want on you.
Yeah.
You know, like you're supposed to like flowers.
Yeah.
Right? And so on this attempt, he brought her, instead of a dozen roses, 3 roses. And
You still don't understand.
right, and it's like,
You still don't understand.
even with all the other stuff, she doesn't like flowers.
Right.
So I think what happens is you start to suppress because you feel like you're not being heard anyway. Right. And forcefully, we're pushing what we want on you instead of giving you and loving you the way you're asking to be loved.
Same with women. You know, we do the same thing. It's not just men who misjudge what it is you need or what you want. I think that for most...
Ain't my wife so pretty?
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Look at you.
Oh, you're so sweet.
She ain't feeling good. She still, but I'll take her to the grocery store looking like that.
You see, you know, all of these people coming into relationships, and so many times, babe, they come in with an expectation of something they've seen on television, what they've seen in past relationships, and so in their mind, it's like, okay, I want to be a good husband, so I should act like Cliff Huxtable. I want to be a good wife, so I should act like
Claire. Right.
You know, or whoever your template was. My biggest template, I have to say, was my grandmother.
Old school.
Yeah, you know, and I couldn't appreciate it until much later in life. But grandmother, the way that she loved on my grandfather. And I remember one time saying, Grandpa, I don't know how you got grandmother, because she is beautiful. And my grandmother was like, well, my husband is handsome. How dare you? You know, I saw Big Mama and how she cared for two after he went into the nursing home, but just how they talked to each other and how much respect they had for their husband and how it seemed to be their joy to be nurturing and to show up the right way all the time. And I wanted to be able to do that so much, but I also had to communicate how I love to you to make sure we are aligned to begin with.
Do you think that, I know in our commitment to one another, you know, we made sure that the commitment of no quitting was allowed.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Like, this is it.
This is it.
You know
This
what
is
I
all.
mean? And we're going to make the best of it. So quiet quitting, any of that isn't allowed.
No.
Right? But we first had to be aligned.
Right.
You know, and one of the analogies we use is using your car as a reference.
Yeah.
When you get in your car, you know when you push that button or turn the key that car is most likely going to turn on. Right? We roll. We may feel a little shakiness, but you're saying it's all
fine.
good, right? Now, when we start to neglect things, is when that oil light come on.
Yeah. Check engine.
That check engine light, but the car's still running fine.
Right. So you keep on driving.
Or you think it's running fine because nothing has come apart, but that indicator is saying, do some maintenance.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But we keep on riding. And we treat our relationships the same way.
Yeah.
We know when that check engine light come on. We know when something don't feel right.
Yeah.
Right? We know when we notice somebody quietly quitting. So what do you do? Because that's
you
the check
think
engine
people
light.
know?
I think so, because the interactions change.
They do, but I think sometimes people get so stuck in a routine and you're running on autopilot, right? For me, You get in this
routine
things. Of things. I got to get up in the morning. I got to take the kids to school. This person got dance, singing, track, whatever. You got this routine that's around your family and everything that should be there, but you're dying inside.
So, but that's like we speak about that in our book, right? As far as being intentional with something that you do daily.
Yeah.
Right? And we chose what we do daily.
Yeah.
And I think that's our moment to really talk about the day.
And make sure that we align.
Right.
And talk about more things than just the kids and just work. Because you stay on my butt about talking about work.
Well, I tell you what, guys, and y'all gonna have to forgive me for being vulgar at this moment. F them kids sometimes. You gotta remember you. Y'all were the establishment.
Yeah.
Those kids are very important.
Yes.
I know somebody probably gonna chop my words up, and I don't care. Look at the
care
whole video. Them kids are important, but you, all three of us, are important. And if we lose sight of each other, the foundation is cracked.
Well, when you say stuff like, when you ask a woman, who are the most important people in your life? Or who is the most important people in your life? And their answer is my kids first, and they're married, that's the wrong answer.
To you.
No, that's the wrong answer, period. If you are a person who is a biblical person, like you read your Bible, if you're somebody who reads the Quran, I don't care what religion you practice or no religion, that you know that your responsibility is to be with your spouse.
Right.
That should be number one. Right? The reason why it's ordered that way is you loving me helps me love them better.
Right.
Me loving you helps you show up for them better because now you're not worried about what's going on here and taking it out on them babies.
So in that alignment, and we notice quiet quitting, and we understand what's happening, how important are your words?
So important. So important. You know, I'm thoughtful about how I communicate with you. I'm thoughtful how I communicate with everybody, you know, but in particular, you, because I value it so much. Also, I want safety in our house. So, you know, and when I talk safety in our house, I mean safety to have the conversations that are troublesome, problematic, hard.
Right. You know, and we're going to kind of get to some of these comments while we're going. And thank you for being open, Brother Oglesby. It wasn't until I got in therapy that I realized I was suppressing my emotions to keep away from conflict in my marriage. Did you feel safe to even express your emotions? You know, and I think that's such an important thing before we start falling out of alignment and going into the stages of quiet quitting. Can I actually safely communicate with you about what I'm feeling? You know,
and identify patterns in your communication style that might be problematic.
Right.
You know, I told the ladies yesterday when I was talking to them.
And shout out to those ladies.
Oh,
that whole panel was
that
so
panel
great.
was amazing, and it was. And Kim, thank you so much for inviting me. But it was a great thing. But one thing that I told women in particular is watch your face. You know, I can't speak on men, but watch your face, because a lot of times what your face is demonstrating is not the words that's coming out of your mouth. What your body language.
Hey, mama.
When you rolling your eyes at the person, or you.
I know. Right.
Any of that kind of stuff.
Body language.
That body language is so important. And I think people dismiss that part of it because we're in such a texting, social media kind of situation where you lose those bedrocks of communication, like context, tone, body language. And those things are so important when you are trying to establish trust in a relationship, when you're trying to establish safety in a relationship. Do I make it comfortable for you to be vulnerable? Am I touching your arm?
Right.
Am I saying, hey, it's okay. It's okay. Talk to me. And when I say that, I mean it.
That's what I'm about to say. And being really serious about that.
Yeah.
You know, not just to get information.
Yeah.
But resolution.
And what you do with the information when you get it.
Right. Because you will scare people off once you give them information that they thought they could handle, and next thing you know, they're blowing up. And so, baby said something that was important yesterday when she was speaking. Instead of no, say oh. Buy yourself some time to really think about and process the information you just took in.
Right.
You know, and I use that. You know, and I go back to what I spoke about in the early episode. You know, shout out to Brother E-Dub. He says, tell me more. That's buying me time to really consider my, rebuttal.
Right.
Or what I need to say after that,
It also engages active listening.
Yes.
If I say, oh, that means when I say, oh, I shouldn't necessarily be coming up with my rebuttal. I should be getting more information.
Processing.
Like,
Right.
tell me all of this stuff.
go
Why
ahead,
do
lay
you
it out.
feel this way? What is driving you to have this feeling? Is it something that I can support or something that I can't support? Is it something that we can find common ground with?
And I'm glad you said that because I think people feel like in our relationships, we have to agree on everything.
No.
Some things is not going to work for her that will work for me and vice versa, right? But we still have to find a common ground that still brings completeness or contentment to each individual person,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That is a tough thing for some people to do. But in order to get to that point, you have to align. You have to make sure that you align with the right person, that you're able to communicate these things. You're able to have emotional safety, right? And you also have to realize everything isn't a conflict.
As you were talking, I was sitting up thinking someday. You know why I bet a lot of people are out of alignment?
What was it?
They were never in alignment.
Ooh.
And I say that, and I go back to what I started with, right? When you go into relationships being the person you think your parents thought you should be, or being the person that your friends thought you should be, or anybody outside of you personally, if
Right.
you're going into a situation like that, or you're lying early in a relationship, and when I say lying, I'm not talking about those egregious lies. I don't have any kids, and then you got all these babies out here.
We just watched some Love Is Blind. And
We
do that.
did. We did, but she said she knew already.
Well,
She
why
said
she-
we didn't know, but she knew. I'm rooting for them. I'm rooting for them. But what I'm saying is there are certain things about you might not want to tell somebody. I don't know that I told you I was messy. I did.
And I'm OCD.
Yes. Now, nobody want to admit to being messy.
But I appreciate your honesty.
I told you, I was like, hey, I'm going to do my best to keep it clean because that's so important to you.
But I think also you thought you were messy. Because you're not as messy as you thought you were.
Right. Well, I grew up in Eloise's house. And anything out of order
Shout out to Mama.
is messy.
What's
right?
up, Gary? What's up, nieces, Whitney?
And so
AD?
when I don't tell you the truth about that, if it was something, and if I was as messy as I even thought I was, can you imagine coming home and the house is destroyed?
No.
Because it would undo you. Because I told you, not only did I tell you I was messy, I did not say, if I told you I'm a neat freak, I keep everything clean, then I'm a liar.
Right.
On top of being messy.
Right.
Right? It's those kind of things. I'm really, really good with money. Are you really, really good with money?
Mm-hmm.
I really, really love going out. No, you don't.
That you're really a hermit.
Right, you're a hermit. You don't
Right.
really like going out.
Right.
So some of the alignment is because people are not being honest at the beginning.
Right.
That's why sometimes you have that alignment. You know, there are a lot of people who struggle with being in a one-person relationship at a time, and I call it that specifically, a one-person relationship at a time, because monogamy is one person for life. And I don't know how many people we got on here, but I'm gonna guess that most people had more than one person in
There's
the
some
entire.
heathens out there. Y'all
Heathens
some
out
freaks. Y'all didn't
right?
see it.
And so, if you know that, then why don't you have real conversations about it?
Because it's scary to expose yourself.
Well, you just need to. and you need to be given a choice.
Well, it's easy to say that when you have somebody you can actually communicate with that's not going to just jump all over you for expressing your authenticity, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I think in the beginning of your establishment, or even in the beginning of just meeting, you need to throw some things out there just to see how this person's going to respond.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're not going to just throw it all out there at once.
No.
But you do need to throw some of your authenticity out there
Yeah.
to see how this person's going to receive that information.
Right.
Right.
And cheat code here, you might want to take a pencil and write this down.
Cheat code.
How you respond to what they say will determine what you get from now on. Okay, I'm going to say that one more time for the people in the back. How you respond to information that your person tells you is how they're going to determine what they need to tell you going forward. Whether you're talking about your person, your husband, or your kids. You know, I'll never forget, I really wanted to make it where my kids felt like they could talk to me. So I would talk to them about anything.
Right.
This new group of children I got, same difference. I'm always talking to them about whatever because I want them to feel safe. And Kalen, when he was probably in middle school, he
You just
came.
don't throw him out there.
I am. It was so I was so outdone.
Hey son, don't get
Hey,
mad at
Kay.
me. Get mad at your mama.
Well, he was in middle school and he asked me, he said, "Can I ask you something?" And I said, "Sure, what is it?" And he said, "What is a clitoris?"
Huh? That was a big one.
Now, you know what I told y'all, mind your face, because in my soul, I was like, but I minded my face. And I said, "What made you ask me that question?" Well, wasn't that he seen one or knew anything about one. He listened to an Eminem song that said, "You're so dumb, you don't even know what a clitoris is."
Wow.
Right? So I could have gone to this place of, oh my God, is my middle schooler having sex? Oh my God, what is happening with him? But that's what it was. Now, I went on and I explained what it was because I want you out here with misinformation.
Right.
But
Or asking someone else.
or asking someone else who won't tell you the truth. But because of that, all of them have always felt pretty comfortable coming and talking to me about whatever because they know that I'm not going to respond in a way that is scary, judgmental, punishing, disciplining. You know, I want to have the truth.
And I think that avoids
Quiet quitting.
QQ.
Yes.
Quiet quitting. Because now I'm scared to talk to you.
Right.
I don't want to talk. You're not hearing me. When I ask a question, you know, that facial expression or that immediate abrupt rage or reaction, you know, scares me off. And 1 second, let's jump into some of this. So, Brandon, I appreciate your question, man, or your comment. So, some people aren't true to themselves or blind to who they are. I think I'm understanding. You're basically saying that these people aren't really aware of who they are. You know,
I don't think most people are.
No. I think a lot of us are afraid to admit who we are. Hey, man, I like little bitty people about 4'8", 4'7".
I'm 5'5", by the
I
way.
mean, and I told my wife that I ain't really cheating. It's like just 0.5 of a hole. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, but at the end of the day, once you recognize that person isn't being true to themselves, that's your opportunity to decide at that moment, this may not be it for me.
When did you know who you were? Or start to be comfortable with who you were?
I've been an entrepreneur for a long time, right? And I think in that entrepreneurial journey, you take on different attitudes, different mindsets. And you have to be careful with that because that will alter your image of yourself, right?
Yeah.
And so with me, my background, my upbringing, you know, not having a silver spoon, having to really work and be challenged to go after the things that I desired and really wanted. Those were the ingredients of things that I stayed true to. That's why I always said, I got to have a woman that's cool with eating bologna. Because
And
if we
it's
ain't got
fine.
it, I need you to be cool with us not having it. Not saying that we ain't going to get it, but in that moment,
You're right.
so we're staying true to my roots of where I came from, and then maintaining people in my life who will hold me accountable. Shout out to Gary Taylor. You know what I'm saying? That's a big brother. You know. So with that, that's how I've been able to stay true to myself. But I think my true awareness of I ain't got too many F's to give came at mid 30s on into my mid 40s.
Yeah.
Right? Because I learned that it's okay to be me. You know what I'm saying?
I'm so happy you.
It is all right to be, and I like this dude.
Me too.
Right.
I like him a lot.
And I like you. You know, but at the end of the day, you got to learn to be all right with you. And if you okay with your truth, it don't matter what somebody else got to say about your truth. You know what I'm saying? But be careful with not being able to hear someone tell you about your truth. Because a lot of times we don't see ourselves. So it's important to have people that you trust in your life to be able to call you out on your bull.
Yeah, and you listen.
Yeah, I'm doing so good not cussing.
You are.
Shout out to me.
Shout out
I'm
to
a
you.
cusser.
Baby. You are. You are. When I think about when I knew myself, I grew up, I had the best childhood. I wouldn't trade it for nothing in the world. My parents provided me with love. I've never not known it. I've never, ever, ever not known what love was. And I didn't realize what a hot commodity that was until I got much older. You know, I have great relationships with my cousins, my brothers, their wives, their in-laws, you name it. You know, I was so happy Mama went to Luann because they had the hunt this weekend, and I got to see Ernestine and Irma Jean on FaceTime. Yes, and
Gigi.
Right, G. I got to grow up with that kind of love on both sides of my family. But I also was brought up that your name meant something.
Right.
Right? My dad used to always say that Ogwin name means something. Big Mama used to always care so much about the Hildreth name. And now that I'm older, it's funny to me because that was her married name. She never said, I got to be careful with this Oliver name, which is actually my Big Mama's maiden name. She said, you watch how you use that Hildreth name. You watch what you do with that Ogwin name, my dad, my grandparents would say. And it was such a high level of you gotta be this kind of human, you know. And shit, it's hard. It's hard to live up to those expectations.
But when did you adopt those expectations?
I think I've always had them. I think that's what makes me a go-getter. But it also, I had to find who I was in that, right? Because I remember when I went to college, my mom said you need to be a teacher. And so when I started college, I was going to be a teacher. Can you imagine? You know, I don't like kids like that.
But you were a teacher.
I am a teacher, but it wasn't the way that I thought it would be.
Right.
And I think that as I got older and noticed things about myself, you know, when I was first married, I remember thinking, I'm not submitting to you. I'm not, you know, I ain't doing none of that. I'm not fixing your plate. I'm not. And it took a minute, not long, but it took a minute in my first marriage for me to say, why do I feel that way? I had to investigate that for myself, right? Why do I feel like I don't want to give anything?
Right.
And I think a lot of women think that way. First of all, I think they think I shouldn't do any of these things. Or you have women that think I should do all of those things, but it ain't from a place of I want to. You know what I mean?
Obligation.
It's more obligation focused, like, well, this is what I'm supposed to do. Or my mom, my family told me never to do that. I would look weak. I think that's where most people fall. But for me, I grew up for it to be my joy. Because then I understood why I wanted to do it. I like doing it.
Did you realize the gain you were getting out of it?
I did. You know, it's something about supporting your person.
Yes.
You know, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. And every day I think about that. I think about what can I do to support Corey? What can I do? Because you, I feel like, are the oxygen, right? So if you are safe always, everybody else in the house is.
Got it.
So my job is to make sure you have peace in this house so you can continue to create. You can't do what your superpower is if you got a lot of stuff on your mind. But I identified that.
You know, that was very therapeutic and enlightening, one of the things that really sticks out is the brand, right? How important it was to uphold your family name and legacy.
Yeah.
You know, the first time I really heard that was with Al Bodie. You know, he would tell his kids, "You're a Bodie. You don't act that way.
Right.
We don't do things like that." You know, and that stuck out to me.
Yeah.
And I find myself talking to my children the same way. You know, you have to represent us. You know, but first you need to see representation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But get to one of the comments. Definitely want to create a safe space for my child. I think we fall short in understanding our relationships will trickle down,
Yes.
and that quiet quitting, that misalignment will trickle down because our children see us.
Yeah.
And we think that they aren't picking up on the energy. We think that they're not
They see it
recognizing the
all.
vibe, right? But they see it. And if you're misaligned and you're not communicating, they see that. And now we're teaching them improper communication.
Yeah.
We're teaching them improper ways to manage your relationship, you know? And we have to be so responsible with either enhancing what we have or realizing that this ain't it.
Yes.
And doing something about it when you see the writing on the wall.
Man, let's talk about that, right? You know, I always say I had a 20-year marriage that ended in the most healthy way, right? Our relationship went to a different type of relationship. He's my friend. He's your friend. We are in a much healthier place now.
Damon, give me a hug, dude.
But one thing I have to say that when we got a divorce, it wasn't because it was so broken and I hated him so much, but it was because I knew, and I felt like he did too, that we were not supposed to be there any longer, right? You don't have to be fighting. You don't have to be screaming. You don't have to be cheating. You don't have to be all of that for you to know when something has run its course, right? And so, yes, I think we both were quiet quitting, because to me, quiet quitting is when you stop showing up and doing anything more than what the basic thing is for you to do. Right? That's what quiet quitting is to me. So when I say the basic thing, I'm gonna try to make sure I cook, keep the house kind of clean, go to work every day, take the kids where they need to be. But do I care that you had a hard day at work? Not really. When you talk to me about your hard day, I'm like, yeah, well, that sucks. No feedback, nothing. That's what quiet quitting is. But if you can get out of something before that resentment shows up, it's a much healthier thing, and you're not wasting time.
Right.
You know, I don't ever advocate for people to get a divorce or break up or any of that kind of stuff, but you know when it's done.
Yeah.
You know when you have checked out of a relationship, and it's irresponsible of you to hold someone basically hostage until you figure out what your next move is. And people do that. You know, they're like, okay, let me plot my exit strategy.
Right.
Let me figure out how I'm gonna leave. But you know this ain't it. You know it's not it. Even if somebody is not being hateful. But you show up in a way for me every day that I know you ain't going nowhere. Like you water this plant. You try to make sure that I know at all times we are aligned, we are okay, we are good, we are on the same page. And I try to do the same for you. But if that's not on your mind,
you know, you're speaking communication, right? When in our relationship did you feel absolutely safe to be able to communicate your emotions?
it was pretty early. You know, we were in a distant relationship, and because of that, and this is one upside I would say to having a long distance relationship, you have to talk.
Yeah.
Like that's the only thing that you can do to
Right.
stay connected. It's not like we were going out on dates every weekend or anything like that, but we talked so much and I knew so much about you pretty early. But I would say even then I was scared because sometimes you scared what you are going to say would run somebody off because you're not sure. Right. And I never thought then something I might do would run you off. But I didn't, and I never like to see you. Never like for you to see me cry. Still,
Tough country girl.
I'm a tough little something. But I didn't like showing that. And I think what finally made me so safe was because you continued to show up. And I trusted it. You built a brand of, I'm not leaving you. I'm not leaving you. I'm not leaving you. I'm not judging you.
Right.
I'm not judging you. Because sometimes you won't leave, but you'll judge.
So, in that, do you feel like we've done maintenance and maintained alignment? Or do you feel like there was ever a time that we were completely misaligned?
I think we have been misaligned. But because we talk so much about it, like you said, we're not quitting this.
No.
You can't quit me. You can't quit me, right? And because of that, if we said we're not quitting each other,
It sounded like a threat, didn't it?
right? You're not.
I'm
You're
cool
not.
with it though.
Right. But when you consistently show up that way for a person, it gives you confidence to say certain things.
Right.
It gives me confidence to cry in front of you, or for you to cry in front of me. You feel safe enough to be that vulnerable. But it did take a little bit of time, and it took you showing up consistently over and over and over again. I think that when we've been misaligned, it's been because of communication. It's been because, for whatever reason, I wasn't ready to talk about it yet.
Right. And I think that's important, giving people their respite, giving them their time to process and stop trying to force communication.
Yeah.
I think that communication does need to come in a decent
Oh, for sure.
amount of time where you're not just sitting around worrying and wondering what somebody's thinking. But, give people their space to process their thoughts, Hey, Uncle and Auntie. What up, Ella? But I think it is important to give people that space. Be graceful enough to allow people their moment to process.
Yeah. It shouldn't take a long, long time, though, because even when, in times that I felt like we were misaligned, it was a really quick turnaround. Like, I've never been mad at you for over a day or even a day. You know what I mean?
Right.
I readjust pretty quick.
And I'm kind of scared because my sisters now, they'll beat me up if I hurt her feelings.
I love them
Jay
so
and
much.
Victoria. So, I want to put some of our information out there, you know what I'm saying, to make sure people understand, what we did. Hold on. I'm just here so I don't get fined. I'll see you the way. But, we're real people, and we're not going to come on here acting like, we haven't had challenges.
Yeah.
But one thing we don't do is consider our relationship work.
No.
It's a pleasure and honor to be in my relationship with this woman. It isn't work. I enjoy the time that I put in to be successful in my relationship with her. We got to change our language. When you think about work, that's not necessarily a fun thing to get up to every morning.
No.
You know what I mean?
And doing this coaching with you, writing the book with you, that hadn't felt like work either.
Nah, and
It's been really fun.
It has been. And with being able to express things, you can create the space that you want.
I also want to turn on this tail heard.
Heard.
And I say that because a lot of times people will tell me I don't feel heard. And what they really mean is I didn't get yes for an answer.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah. Sometimes when you're not heard, it's because they didn't give you the answer you wanted. And so your takeaway is I'm not being heard. And so what I would say, sometimes people don't feel confident to tell you no or not yet. But if you don't feel like you are being heard, if I feel like that you're not listening,
that's going to lead to quiet quitting.
it's going to lead to quiet quitting. But I also need to take some responsibility in that and really think through why I believe I'm not being heard. is that a figment of me not getting what I want, or is it a real situation where I'm not being heard?
I think two things can be true at the same time.
Yeah.
But you gotta separate some things because, like you said, if I'm not getting the answer that I want, it doesn't mean that I'm not being heard. He just or she just ain't saying the thing that I want them to say.
Right.
Now, in that, I think it's important for someone to know what you expected them to say or how you expected them to respond. Because you're gonna walk away from that conversation feeling incomplete.
100%.
Right? So if you voice what you feel, well, baby, that's not what I expected you to say. Well, what did you expect me to say?
Right.
Well, in my perfect world,
Right.
in my perfect mind of this created conversation, I thought that you was gonna say you'll let me have about 3-4 midgets. But at the same time, I'm sorry, little people. I don't want to get people throwing rocks at me.
Right.
But I know, right? And I like it. But at the same time, we're going into conversations with an expectation of an outcome.
Yeah.
And when we don't get that outcome, we feel like we weren't satisfied because we didn't get that response. But nobody can read your mind.
No.
So it's important that you further that conversation and say, well, I thought, and you got to be open to understand that what you thought didn't happen. And if it doesn't happen, what do I do then?
Right.
Be expressive. Well, baby, I thought that you were going to say this. Maybe they didn't even think of that. But being that you carried the conversation on, now you've given them some enlightenment. You know what? I can do that. Right? I didn't even think that I should have said that.
Right.
And being that you helped me here, you're right. I can do that. I can change my answer.
Right.
Give me some grace.
Give you some more grace. Give you some more context.
Right.
Give you some more understanding of what's actually going on.
Right.
I think a lot of times people
Hey, Keisha.
will say that they don't want to tell their person over and over again, right? I mean, I told you that. I got tired of talking about I don't like breakfast.
Right. So, Jimmy, your comment up here, I can only read some of it because I'm going to have to get up, push the button to see more. But I'm going to start with the top because I thought that was really good. Learn to have a courageous conversation. And that is very deep. Be transparent enough so the other can understand where you're coming from. And I'm going to stop right there. You do have to have courage in your relationship to have these conversations.
Yes.
You know, I think a question that we posed to someone before was, are you afraid of your person?
You know, that made me think about two terms. We always say safe space.
Yeah.
But in that safe space, you need a brave space.
You got to have a brave space because you don't know how somebody's going to react. But you have to have enough courage in your relationship to know that this person has the ability to hear me and hear me out.
And you have to be confident enough in yourself to be okay with the fallout.
That part.
Like, sometimes when you have these complicated, courageous, brave kind of conversations, the ending may be an ending.
And you got to be okay
And you
with
got to
that.
be okay with that. You know, everything won't turn out right all the time.
Or to your expectations.
To your expectation. Because you may not have been with the person you should have been with to begin with.
Man.
For me, I want couples early in their relationships to start exercising that courageous spirit, that safe spirit.
And thank you for that, Jimmy.
That thing
'Cause
that gives that grace, that space, that braveness, that thing that can help you get to where you're trying to go quicker.
Right.
You know, at the beginning, I talked a lot about showing up as somebody other than myself, and I did that because I wasn't sure that myself would be sufficient.
Wow.
You know,
It's important to feel sufficient.
it is, and you know, I can't say that I'm sufficient for everybody, but I am sufficient for you. And the only way I could get there was by being honest about who I was.
Right.
Right? It's plenty of men that I could have talked to that would have run from me with some of the things that I might have said.
But you ain't bring nothing.
I brought stuff, babe.
What you bring?
I brought stuff.
You brought them little legs over here and you were cute. Listen, my wife didn't bring much.
I did.
I'm the problem. All right,
We
listen,
can
I brought some bags. I'm the epitome of Erykah Badu bag man. Bag. We carry bags too, ladies and fellas. Go ahead and be real.
Yeah.
That we got to put our bags down too, man,
Mm-hmm.
and we got to put our guards down. You know,
Mm-hmm.
our relationship ain't no jousting match.
No.
You know what I mean? Like
No.
it's not a place where we have to be manly tough anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I feel so safe and protected because my wife makes me feel safe and protected.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned that it's okay to say that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We often hear that our women say that they feel a sense of security with us,
Mm-hmm.
right? But how much security do we feel with them?
Well, let me talk to them for a second.
Okay, holla.
I have been told before on social media that I was a pick-me girl.
A pick-me girl.
A pick-me girl.
Okay.
Because of how I show up, right? Because of how much I talk about how I love you and how much I talk about how it's a pleasure, it's important to me to give you a certain kind of space in our house, right? And so it's not something that people, women in particular, necessarily want to do, right? We've been taught to be strong. And from that strength, it can read adversarial. Right?
Yeah.
Because we're trying to be so strong, but that comes off as very adversarial.
Wow.
And it's not advantageous at all.
No.
And so when I'm talking to women, what I tell you is please stop fighting your husband. Please stop fighting your boyfriend.
What is fighting? What are some ways fighting can look?
Screaming,
Dismissive.
quiet. Don't say anything at all. Walk around the house stomping. Disrespectfulness. Calling your person out of their name, or calling them lazy, or calling them weak, or calling them anything other than the incredible person you chose. So if he's any of that, you chose it.
Right.
What's your accountability in that? If you're telling me that you can't find no good man, I found this man old. I was old, still older than he is with 3 kids. You know, but I got him. But it wasn't because, and I think sometimes people think if you're an attractive person, just based solely on how you look, things will go your way. But no, it can be the loneliest life in the world. You know, I look at somebody like Halle Berry, who struggles in relationships, and people say that she's crazy. They say all of these things, but you wouldn't have thought that back on Boomerang days. You
She
wouldn't
may
have thought.
not be.
She might not
Just
be.
hadn't met that person to equal.
Right, but I heard a lady, and I'm not gonna say where I heard her, but she jumped up in this space that I was in, and she said, "I'm looking for a person. I don't want to still be single, but I don't want no mess. He got to have his stuff together. He need to, be somebody I can trust." Now, I'm saying it exactly like she said it. That was her disposition when she was talking about it. And I couldn't help but thinking, who would want that? Who would want to talk to you the way you're talking to everybody
About the person
here?
that you're looking for.
The person you want in your life. You have so much aggression around it. And y'all stop being that kind of aggressive person that feel like you have to fight. And I know women are going to come to me and say, man, we have to show up this way because society has made us this way, or being disappointed by people we depended on, or there ain't nobody. I gotta be here. I gotta be this to take care of these kids. And I understand that, but I think that your strength it does not have to be adversarial.
No.
I would say that most people would look at me and say I'm strong, right? I don't take pride in it. I don't take pride in that. Not me personally, because I want to be a girl. I don't want to bear that burden by myself. I'm grateful for your shoulders. I'm grateful for it. It's not a badge of honor to me to say I did it by myself.
Right.
I love saying we do this together.
Right.
But that's just me. But I'm telling you, when we teach our children The mothers, when we teach our daughters, you got to be strong. You got to be this. You don't take no mess from nobody. Well, what mess is she bringing? What mess are you coming with? We got to own that. We have to be aware of that. And I'm talking to women because I am a woman, right? I'm not going to try to tell men what they need to do to show up the right way. I can't. I'm not a man. But I can tell you, you ain't right. Like, I know when I'm stepping to somebody the wrong way. I know that.
Yes, we do. We definitely know.
You know.
You did it intentionally.
You did that. You did that. And you need to own that.
Yes. And I think that's one of the things that we fall short of is owning our mess.
People don't want to be accountable.
The issues, right? Gentleman Bobby Mack, I appreciate it. Love and respect is an everyday choice.
Yes, it is.
Man, you said it perfectly. And I'm just going to read that first sentence, man. It's a choice to love and respect one another every day. Be the person you want.
I do want to say something about that.
Okay.
Yes, you should be the person that you want. But you should also figure out what kind of love that they need. So one thing that we all grew up hearing, because it's in the Bible, and so we've all heard it. Or I think it's in the Bible. It might not be, but
heathen.
I know. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Right? I'm just going to treat people the way I want to be treated. People say that often, and there is a flaw in that for me. If I treat you the way I want to be treated, that might not be the way you want to be treated or that you need to be treated.
True.
Right? I am up under you all the time.
Snuggle.
All the time. I touch him nonstop. I always want to be with my husband. Always. If you gave me a choice to be with anybody, anywhere in this world, I would pick you every single time.
Snuggle bunny.
Snuggle bunny. But that ain't him. Now he loves me and he loves being around me, but that's not who he is, right?
Right.
And so I have to also be aware of that. So when you say, hey, I want to go and hang out with my boys, that I'm not giving you mess because in my mind, I'm treating you how I want to be treated.
Got it.
You understand? Right? So how I want to be treated is you would always want to be here.
Right.
But how you need to be treated is to have space. To go play basketball on Tuesdays and Saturdays. You need that time with your boys. It clears your mind. It makes you feel good. You accomplish something. You need that. But if I was trying to just give you what I thought you should have, I wouldn't be giving you what you need.
Right.
I wouldn't be giving you what you want. And so I check in with you often, right? I always ask you, hey, baby, am I showing up the way you need me to today? That helps to make sure we're always aligned. That simple question. Am I showing up for you the way you need?
You know, and even speaking about that, showing up, I got a question. Who do you feel suffers from quiet quitting more, men or women?
I would say women, just because I'm a woman.
Man, I beg to differ.
Okay, talk to me.
And I felt like that would be your answer. You know what I mean? Men, when we feel unappreciated, and I feel like, and this goes for the men who may not be the breadwinner in their houses or in their relationships, and they tend to shrink themselves because of financial gains. I think at some point, some of that feeling turns into quiet quitting, right? And that's just one example. If you feel a lack of respect from your partner in your household, and when I'm speaking about this, let me change my language, because we're not just talking about heterosexual relationships. We're talking any relationship, right? Any human relationship,
any human
right?
intimate relationship.
Yes. We tend, and speaking from men, we don't voice how we feel and what forces us to go into quiet quitting. And that's why I'm always encouraging my brothers, counseling, therapy, where you learn how to express. That coaching is so important, where you learn how to express, because we're not conveying our quiet quitting and why. You know what I'm saying? Most women, you're going to hear them at some point express what they're feeling. right?
Yeah, that's fair.
Then what comes along is you're not hearing me. Mm-hmm. Then comes along the quiet quitting.
Yeah.
Right? Men, we don't express enough.
Yeah.
We immediately sometimes go to the QQ, quiet quitting, right? Without ever expressing the need and the want, or even understanding what it is we want or what it is we need, right?
Do you think when do you think you understood what you needed in a relationship?
When I dropped that bag of F's off. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here to just satisfy you. I want to be satisfied too.
Right.
Right? Like, I want you to... one of my favorite songs is by Destiny Child. Cater. All right? Because I listen to that and I see it on both sides of the fence. Right? If you catering to me and you hearing me and giving me that catering that you know I love, man, I'm giving it right back. It's inevitable. Unless you just agree to MF, right? I'm doing so good, not cussing. Y'all need to give me some applause. I'm a cusser. And I vow that I'm going to try my best. I'm doing good. But, you know, guys, we have to start communicating more. And that's something that we have to learn to do, right? But at the same time, we have to also realize when we're starting to throw in the towel with that quiet quitting. Because just like you said, I'm at the basketball court Tuesday and Saturday, right? Me and my brothers, we're going to go eat after we finish hooping. We're going to go have a beer, right? But at the end of the day, we're also talking.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing these conversations. And one of the first things I ask is, did you tell her? Man, she ain't listening to that.
Yeah.
Man, she ain't trying to hear that.
Right.
Well, did you try? Right?
And how did you try to talk to her?
How did you approach the conversation?
Yeah. Because listen, you done told me a lot of stuff, but your approach is spot on.
You give her a gummy.
Oh, it helps. It helps for sure.
But, you know, I think that's important.
I think when you show up, I think that it's always when you have something you want to discuss with me, we're never in the midst of an argument.
No.
Like, we're always in a pretty comfortable place, and it ain't about nothing. And so if you say, hey, let me talk to you about some things, I'm not thinking about a problem you're about to bring to me. I'm open, right?
Because you don't know what it's about to be.
Because I don't know what it's about to be. But I think for most people, when they do want to have, when they're ready to have or say what they feel, they do it in the midst of an argument. Because they're mad now. And so they don't care about the fallout. They don't care what it looks like. They're angry and they want to express what you did to me. How you made me feel, right? Every time that you have been frustrated with me, it has never been in the moment that you talk to me about it. It has never been in the moment. And I know when you're mad.
Do you?
Boy, yeah.
I'll be balled up.
His face don't be balled up. He just get quiet and walk around, right?
Yeah.
And your energy is so big, I can feel the shift. I don't say anything because I know that you're going to when you're ready to. And I say that and make that distinction because you know when somebody is not okay in your house. Right. The worst thing you can do is follow up behind them. What's wrong? What's wrong? Why you not talking to me? What's wrong? What's wrong? Now, sometimes I know I ain't did nothing to you.
No, so
right? So I'm not going to
bad.
own that bad. Sometimes I might have done something to you. And I need to be ready to take whatever you have to say, but you're very respectful and you are very thoughtful about how you communicate those things to me so I can understand what I did wrong. Right. That's important, and it's important for me to do the same for you. Right. Babe, can I talk to you about something that's kind of eating at me? It's never. That's why. Right.
Right. Like my granddaughter do.
But that's why every time, that's why, and that's what you hear when it ain't a safe space to communicate.
So I appreciate that for one, and I appreciate the way you accept my approach and the way you approach things. And I think we have to be very careful with that, that we're not running each other off. Right. So a comment I made, and someone just put a comment up. I seen and heard so many women diss that song, meaning cater to you, because they said they're not doing all that for no man. well, that person has not matured to a place to where somebody has made them want to be their better them. If you're not graduated to a place where you're ready to be a better you, you'll always live in the shadows of hate. You'll never know what peace and serenity is. I'm thankful that I'm willing to cater to my wife because she has brought nothing but peace and serenity and harmony in my life. So, hurt people, and
you don't want to be a part of
and you don't
somebody's
want to be
trauma
a part
story.
of that. And so when I hear people diss a song like that of women expressing their willingness to showcase love and affection towards their person, that gives me comfort to know that somebody was listening to their big mama and their grandmother. Somebody took some wisdom from someone before them and held on to that and passed that off. So, encourage those hurt people. Ask questions. Why do you feel that way?
Yeah.
Sometimes people just need to be able to express where their trauma is coming from. PTSD is a real thing. You'll hear us say certain things over and over. Communicate. Creating a safe space to communicate. Understand your past trauma and your triggers. You're going to hear us speak about that all the time. So, it's important that we help other people break through their PTSD by being a listening ear. Go ahead, Ben.
Well, I want to kind of wrap this up in a bow.
Yes, and we're over time. We're sorry.
Yeah. So I want you to tell the folks who are watching and the folks that will come back and watch, because we also know y'all do that. That has been crazy. But thank you so much for it. What's one thing that you would tell a person about, number one, how to make sure they're in alignment in their relationship? And then leave them with one thing that they should recognize with quiet quitting.
Recognize the dashboard. If those indicator lights are on, do something about it. You know when the energy is shifted, you know when something's not right. Let's not walk around and tiptoe like we don't recognize it. Do something about the check engine light in your relationship. That would be my takeaway.
Yeah. Well, with that, man, if you feel like you are quiet quitting, I want you to give your person one more chance, right? And you tell them exactly that. You know what, honey? I know I ain't fought with you or nothing like that, but I've checked out.
Yeah.
Or I'm checking out. And if this is a relationship that you want to continue, we need to do some work on it.
Yeah.
And if you feel like your person is quiet quitting, if you feel like they've checked out, check in.
Yeah.
Hey, and if you feel like it's run its course, the right thing to do is figure out a way to amicably separate, right? How do you quiet quit yourself right on up out of that situation so you can build yourself to be the person that you can attract for somebody else?
Right. Man, we want to thank everybody that joined this live. Miss Jacqueline McDonald Kerr.
Oh, Jackie, I'm so glad you're doing better. You know that shooting in Fordyce, my hometown?
Yeah.
She was shot, but she is back. And I'm so
And you
thankful.
on here?
She
Girl,
is on here. And
you a
thank
trooper.
you. I'm so happy. I'm so grateful for that. So, classmate from Luann.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Mama Eloise Booth. Ricky G, thank you for admiring what we're doing, man. We appreciate you, and I don't want to miss nobody else.
Leanna, I love Leanna.
Yes.
You met her before.
Of
and
course,
Irma Jean, yes, always.
Whitney, my boo,
Yep.
my baby, my niece, my brother Gary, Christy Lancaster, Bobby Mack, cousin Jimmy. We got a lot of family that's chiming in, and we appreciate y'all's support so much. Understand, y'all, that we do virtual coaching as well.
Yeah.
You don't have to be in Nashville. Hopefully you do come to Nashville so we can sit across the table from you and actually have a real intimate moment to really see who we're talking to and get to feel your energy for face value. But you can always go to lovejohncoaching.com. You can schedule your time with us on there, buy the book on there, and we are now working on our next book, but we ain't gonna give it to y'all until y'all get this one. But everything is definitely in alignment to definitely help curate a better environment for home. You know, so I may not have gotten to everybody to thank everybody, but everybody on here, thank you so much.
And thank
We
you to
appreciate
everybody
you.
on TikTok.
Yes, TikTok, y'all the bomb.com
Yeah,
out there, man. So listen, we'll be back here
Next Sunday.
next Sunday, 7:30.
Whew, next Sunday is going to be a whirlwind.
Man, we got a lot to do.
Yeah.
Ooh, we're gonna keep y'all posted.
Yeah, we
So
will.
we got a lot of events coming up.
Yeah.
The schedule has definitely picked up, which is really, really cool.
It is.
Got a lot of positive stuff rocking. So listen, join us wherever you can. When you see that we're posting that we are going live, y'all join in. We give us some hot sauce.
Yeah, follow the pages, Love Jones Coaching. Get in the group, Love Jones. We silly in Love Jones, the group.
yeah.
We post funny stuff all the time. So if you haven't already followed us, please do. But y'all stay committed, stay
man.
passionate, stay loving on your person. You know, like I love on mine.
Yeah, man, I give it right back. So until next time, thank y'all. We appreciate you and look
Yep.
forward to seeing y'all again. All right,
Bye.
take care. Oh. This the one I'm always confused on.
Wait a minute.
And it won't go off.
Here, let me see.
Alright, TikTok. Y'all always give me the blues.
Always a problem. What is happening?
I have no
It
clue.
wants you to drag that.
Oh,
Okay.
cool. No.
Drag.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Cool.
Now,
Alright, TikTok. We out this
Bye.
joint. Right in time for Carly snore.
right.
Hour and 7 minutes. We just went over a little bit.
Yeah. Wait. I hope this have ended.
You were doing
And-
shit.